Today is the day. Today is the day that we, as fans, wait for. We wait patiently to be different. We're going to be different after this. Honestly, all day I'm like, this is the last time I have a shower before I've seen Beau is Afraid. This is the last time I have a meal before I'm joking. But I have been fasting on, like, not drinking any water because this is a 3-hour movie. And I don't want to miss a second. Beau is Afraid is Ari Aster's third feature film. It is described on IMDb as a comedy drama horror. Okay, remember when he said that Hereditary was a family drama? And I don't even think that he really clarified if he believes Midsommar is a horror movie. We're leaving the boxes behind. We're doing some genre bending. And it does say horror, but I have heard from other people that it's, you know, dark drama, all that stuff. Let's not categorize it today. I'm just too excited to see it, and I just don't want to think about that. I know it's just going to be a surrealist experience, and I think it's going to be more experimental than anything he's done before. The film stars Joaquin Phoenix, Amy Ryan, Nathan Lane, Patti LuPone, and Parker Posey, amongst others. I don't want to get too much into what it's about just yet because I have avoided the trailer. I've seen a lot of posters of this, of course. I'm pretty sure that the script has already been leaked. And I want to go in blind because this is going to be a 3-hour experience and I want to just be surprised the whole time. That's what I love about cinema. I am a little bit worried when it is so long, not because I don't enjoy it, just because when I'm reflecting on it with you guys, there's so much to cover. But we are going to keep this spoiler free. I'm going to let you know whether it's worth spending 3 hours in the cinema to watch this one. I'm so scared because every time I see one of his films, I end up seeing it a second time in the cinema and I'm like, wow, this is just like 6 hours I'm spending in the cinema in the next 2 weeks. But I'm really hoping that I'm gonna love it. I know people are really divided on this one and I'm gonna be completely honest, you know, like as much as I love Hereditary and Midsommar, it doesn't mean all of his films are gonna be hits. It's very interesting so far what he's created and the unique aspects he's added to all genres, I guess. I guess my expectation is that this film will push a lot of boundaries and I'm hoping it's going to completely shock me. And I just hope the disturbing scenes are exactly what I want. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to live to regret that. We do follow a man after a tragic accident completely turns his life inside out, and then we follow him on a journey throughout his life. That's what I believe. That's a loose, and any clips I put in this so far, of course, are going to be spoiler free. I'm going to keep this so you guys know just exactly if it's your taste without knowing anything. That's what I'm good at and that's what I'm here for. So subscribe if you'd like a lot of recommendations just like this, guiding you through and giving you my opinion without giving too much away. That being said, let's jump in. I am more than ready and I'm dying of thirst. I'm more than ready. Let's go. Hello, Earthlings. I've arrived back on planet Earth after being abducted for 3 hours by the most bizarre, one of the most bizarre films I've ever seen. I have a lot to say about this and I will keep it spoiler free, so don't worry. Wow, that was a ride. And I do want to make it clear at the start of this, I did really enjoy this film, but it's not for everybody. It's not for most people, in fact. That was a performance of a performance of a performance of a performance. I can't even explain. And I'm not even saying like well done acting on all parts, more so just the idea encapsulated within the idea it was a surrealist ride. I am going to cut something I said at the very start out of this video because I do think people are kind of spreading a spoiler unintentionally. This film is about a nervous, anxious man, Beau, and he lives in this shady neighborhood, and one day this tragic event changes his life forever and it spirals out of control. And the film is a journey of him trying to right a wrong, in plain speak, while also showing who he is and how he became that way. It is a journey film. If you haven't heard me use that term before, these are films that start one of the best examples for that right now would be Parasite. Films that start one place in a completely different land and end somewhere completely else. I think all of Ari's films are like this to a degree, but this is definitely the most complex. Convoluted at times, but the most complex of all his stories that cannot be easily summed up. Actually, it can be easily summed up, but there's a lot of different facets of it. The film has a lot of connections to, well, I guess I'm finding threads now that we've seen, you know, two of his other films, and I've looked through his influences. I've done a video on the cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover, which was a huge inspiration in the way Hereditary was set out, and then also the cinematography. And I feel like this film draws a lot of different aspects from Hereditary and has some interesting theme connections. Nothing you're going to pick out, but it's really interesting to reflect upon them. I thought this film was going to be completely different, but I feel like some of the themes that we explore, the relationships we explore, are very interesting in how they mirror to his other work. This film has 3 acts, and the first act contains probably the most unique, I mean, they're all very unique, but the most unique thing to this film and to his stylization change within this film, which is it is busy. It is busy, it is loud, there is a lot of commotion going on, a lot of blocking, a lot of people, and things written. You can, read all the background, and it's like a huge set, as I said. His apartment, his shady side of town, and that was just really different for any of his other work, and it just had this more vibrant and electric kind of feel, but with that comes a lot of anxiety, and this film really it drives off the back. Like, the whole purpose of it is it's just riddled with anxiety, and the whole point is to make you feel completely anxious. I know I wasn't going to say anything about how to categorize this film, but I think people who do not find it horrifying, they have some issues, because it is definitely intended to scare the viewer. I feel like because this film goes for so long, there's so many different aspects to it, and I think some of that can be watered down as you go on, and as there's parts where it's drawn out and it's slow, which there are, but it's definitely intended to thrill the viewer and to drive that anxiety out. I would describe this film as like a Todd Solondz film, especially Palindromes, which is my favorite film by him. I'm a huge fan of his, by the way, and I know a lot of people probably don't like his work. The definition I looked up to try and explain, if people who don't know who Todd Solondz is, he's an American filmmaker, and his work is meant to be a commentary on the dark underbelly of middle-class American suburbs. It is satire, it is disturbing, and it very much links in with this kind of journey film, and Palindromes does that to a T. So I'd say it's Palindromes mixed with Mother, a film where there's a lot of surrealist aspects thrown in. You're trying to figure out what's really happening, and you're going on this incredible journey full of anxiety where you just want to shake everybody and scream at everyone's face, and I felt that throughout this entire film. The film has peaks and valleys, and the middle part, so like the second act of the film, is a completely different setting, and it is, well, I don't even know if that's the second or the third part, but there are very slow parts of this film, and then it kind of picks back up again. So you really have to be someone who enjoys the kind of pacing that will, it will take you up and down. It's not going to be continuous and really building the whole time. It's really going to throw you around. And I know that's not for everyone, and I don't expect it to be. It's 3 hours long, and it's a lot of time to invest into a story. Something that comes up time and time again with this film is people talking about how it's a dark comedy. I have a theory to why we went down this more satire-esque route for this. The film has very serious subject matter, but because it's told in this really interesting way, it could either have come across, and because there's very, like, a lot of slow moments and no music throughout a lot of it, it's either, we'll talk about the music in a second, but it's either like it's going through a moment or it's completely quiet and it's meant to be quite serious. And I think because of the way Ari wanted to structure this is my guess, it just wouldn't have worked if it was a serious tone throughout. I think it would have come off pretentious, more so than I'm sure some people think it is, and it would have floundered a little bit, and it would have been really hard to pull that off for 3 hours without a pace that's, you know, chugging along quite quick. So for this, it played into the more awkwardness and the disturbing humor of life. So, you know, when people hide behind humor, especially as a means of dealing with disturbing aspects, and I felt that in this film. There were so many moments where the crowd just went wild because something was so ridiculous, but everyone's laughing because they're uncomfortable, and because it's satire and very dry, it feels like a commentary on real life, which kind of makes it even more disturbing. I feel like we couldn't have had this film as a complete serious tone all the way through, so the comedy aspect was kind of put in there, but it's not ha-ha, it's very dry and satire. And I enjoy, again, this is the same thing Todd Solondz does, I enjoy that kind of comedy, and I think when people think about horror comedy, they think, I guess because it's fresh in my mind, Army of Darkness or Evil Dead 2, or, you know, Tucker and Dale, you know, films that are very upfront one-liners, silly and gore, where this film is, it's just something different, and I really enjoy those two aspects meeting, the horror and the satire, and yeah, just discovering things in a very dark but honest way. It's really vulnerable, and that's kind of scary for me personally, and it depends on your perspective on that. The cinematography for this film, beautiful. Yeah, we do all the beautiful twisted shots, the twisted reveals, and really carry through. There's this amazing shot towards the end. I would love to talk about it, but I just think it's really interesting what he does with perspective, and thinking about why the camera's placed where, of course, but he does it in very obvious ways, and I really enjoyed that. And because it's like meant to be this quiet, anxiety-inducing film, we definitely have that reflected in the movement of the camera. But sound is where this like all comes together. Because the film is up and down, as I said, there's very serious tones and very serious moments where the audience is required to be quiet. I was really lucky. I just went and saw this at a general screening, the first general screening at like 7 p.m, the opening night. You could tell that everyone there was serious fans of this kind of film, where I have an issue sometimes when I go into horror movies at premieres or media events where the audience is kind of there to review or whatever, but they might not fully love that kind of movie. This has happened to me before with Hereditary. People were laughing throughout the whole thing. You can go back and watch my first review on that. And yeah, everyone was really into it. So when it was a serious moment, you could hear a pin drop. But there was some really comical aspects where they played with the music. And I'm not going to ruin what they did for you, because it was really fun, and it's really fun if you've been following the marketing for the film. It was like a light bulb moment, and I just really enjoyed that. Overall, I still stand behind this is a surrealist movie. This is a layered nightmare where you follow one man's journey, and if one man is not enough for you, this film probably won't be enough for you. I'm going to say that straight up, but I do think if you're interested in this film, it is worth seeing it at the cinema. It's immersive. The sound for it, the surround sound, is great. I actually thought at one point of this in the cinema, someone was like walking, and it was in the film and like walking behind me. I think that it just really works well, and because it's such a long journey, but it's so picturesque, and he had such a high budget. If you can get to the cinema, I really do recommend it. I know I say that with every film, but for this kind of thing, it's like seeing Avatar. Such a bad example, but seeing Avatar at home versus seeing it at the cinema, like, you just need that experience because it is jaw-dropping. And I also would urge you to see it as soon as you can, because with A24, with their marketing, they tend to start putting out different, little promos and props and stuff, and I think that there is a couple of aspects that could be really spoiled, but I don't think that the whole story, no matter what you see, you will never know what happens throughout the whole 3 hours. It needs to be experienced in its completion, but I would recommend checking it out as soon as you can, because this one gets people talking, and I completely 100% understand why people are split on it. I love the first act. I loved the third act. And the second act was a little bit iffy for me, a little bit repetitive, but I can understand. It was really interesting because I was going up and down the whole film. Oh my God, this moment. Oh my God. There was one moment which it was the most insane thing happened and everyone's mouth was just on the floor. I could tell the whole audience, when they should have been laughing at this insane thing that happened, just in pure silence. It was really effective for us, but when the credits rolled at the end, it kind of hit me, the sadness of it all. And I actually got a little bit teary because it's quite, I guess it depends on your perspective and how you deal with relationships, but it's quite a sad story. I wasn't expecting to feel a wave of sadness at the end, but I really got that because I thought it was going to be more him, you know, the director trying to play on your emotions to make you feel nervous and anxious. But I feel like it really drilled down to me by the end. I'm going between a 7 and 8. I actually think I'm going to give this film an 8. Just because with what I've watched recently, I enjoy this a lot more. It's a little bit more of a thinker than the other ones I've seen recently. Honestly, please listen to what I say and not what I score. Sometimes scoring, again, this is a personal score, and I honestly think a lot of people aren't going to like this film. Hopefully with what I've said, that will help guide you for what you like personally. It's very slow in the middle. I just want to put that out there again. And it does repeat itself in a couple of different ways. So take that for what it's worth. I don't want to say too much about the performances because it's very interesting how they put it together. But Phoenix was amazing, and I kept thinking, who would be better in this role? And I can't think of anyone else it would have suited as well. I think he did really well. Originality, man, 9 out of 10. What can I say? 9 out of 10. And scare score, just very disturbing. Not as disturbing as I thought it was going to be, but yeah, they're not really he's not scared to show, you know, to show the stuff that you don't want to see at points. Honestly, for scare, like horror scare where something's jumping out and getting you, you know, probably 3. But for for terrifying, anxiety-inducing, disturbing factor, probably a 6. So I'm gonna give it a 5. Then I can kind of weigh out between them. Anyway, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let me know if you've seen Beau is afraid. He is definitely afraid. Let me know down below. Let me know what your scores are. I'd love to hear. And I'd love to hear all your comments. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, let me know what you liked or didn't like about it. I know a lot of people will feel very strongly about this one, so I'm very keen to hear your personal take. And yeah, I'll talk to you all very soon. Stay safe and stay spooky. I'm gonna go have nightmares. See you soon. Bye.